their fathers. Their first hugs, kisses, and gifts from man comes from their fathers. They learn how to respect themselves and require men to respect them from their fathers. So, how did we get to the point where fathers are no longer important? Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. It is another Thursday, a great day, and the sun is shining outside. I didn't have no traffic trying to get over here. It's a good start for me. Well, like always, I gotta definitely give a shout out to the frequency. Without them, we would not be on the air right now. Definitely gotta give a shout out to my man 420 for making this thing happen, so I can be talking to you over the waves and over the net right now. It has been a pleasure. We've been at this thing for a little while now. For a little while now, and I've been having a whole lot of fun. Whole lot of fun. But as always, got to give a shout out to the queen of the building as well. She's not here right now. Don't know whether she's gonna be in or not, but either way, definitely got to give her a shout out. And definitely got to give a big thanks to Santiago's Boxing Club, one of our sponsors as well. Or not anything boxing wise, they got it. Best teaching they known for grazing champions. So, and that's what it is that they do. And of course, Can I Be the Man? A letter from us to you is available right now. The ebook is, or not the ebook, but the audio book is on its way. We're waiting on those final approvals. Once those final approvals and stuff go through, it will actually be out there and ready for everyone. Be out there and ready for everyone. So, y'all already know what time it is. The King's Court is about to go into session. We're about to go into session. So, if you're at work right now, what I need you to do is go to your office, shut the door, turn us up a little bit more. All right. If you don't have an office, go to your cubicle and put your headphones on, whatever the earpieces, whatever that you need in order to be able to hear us, so that we can get it in. If you're at home with the kiddos, a lot of kids getting out of school last week, this week, so I know there's a lot of us at home with the kids. But put something on and that them kids can watch for the next 2 hours so that we can get into this. The topic of discussion today is fathers. Stand up. We'll talk about the importance of fathers. We're probably going to be talking about this for the next couple of shows because this is definitely a big topic. Got to give a thanks to everybody that's been hitting me up concerning the book. It is crazy. My mom, 420, hit me up last night. My mom hit me up about the book last night. I didn't let her read it before I published it, so I made her wait like everybody else did. Matter of fact, I made both of my parents wait. So it was something else listening to my mom talk about the book or whatnot. She didn't care too much for my first book. She said I was talking too bad about it in the first book, but it was all love, man. It was all love. But she did say if I talk bad about her in this book, that she was gonna sue me. I was like, man, it ain't. I said, you good, Mom, you good. You already know it's all love. It's like but she loved the book so far, man, and it's nothing like having your parents be proud of you for your accomplishments and what it is that you're doing, and quite honest, be quite honest with you. Oh, I can't believe I didn't do that. But be quite honest with you, she been catching the show and stuff as well. So that is definitely been great.
Oh, they still got free car washes.
Oh, they do? I didn't miss it. Oh, it's
I
on.
think it's all week or all week.
It's on. Where are they at? Free car.
Quick Quack. Quick Quack Car Wash.
Quick Quack Car Wash. Say that quick.
There's a few locations, but all locations free car wash. I'm already subscribed.
I'm sliding through today, boy, cause that team van.
It's a different type of car wash.
For real.
It's a monthly service. I mean, you could pay per visit, but it's gonna cost you like any other car wash, like $15 to get a good one.
Yeah.
$30 a month I pay for unlimited washes. I can go there 3 times a day if I want.
That is crazy.
Well, it's worth it. It's so worth it because it actually drives your vehicle off well.
I'm gonna get one for me and for the wifey because the way these kids be doing these vehicles.
All the vacuums, they got the flathead and then they got the wedge tool and they got a spray hose for your vents, little air cracks and crevices, spray it out and stuff.
Yep. As soon as I leave here, I'm here. Y'all heard it, people. Y'all heard it. Go get your car washed.
I think we should hit them up for some advertising.
Hey, definitely.
Sponsorship.
I just gave them free advertising. It's cool though. It's cool. Hey, look though, you already know what time it is. We gotta go pay some bills real quick. But when we get back, like I said, the topic of discussion is fathers stand up. We're gonna be talking about the importance of fathers, fatherhood, things of this particular nature. I'm ready for this discussion. I've been waiting for it for a little while now. You know, everything has been a build up. So now that we've gotten to this point, yep, I'm ready to get it in, you know, or whatnot. But I appreciate everybody that's out there watching right now. How you doing, Miss Yolanda? I see you. I don't see any comments right now. Most times we don't have comments by now. People must still be asleep. But either way, you know, we'll be back in about 5 minutes. The King has spoken. Going to pay these bills. And we are back, which means court is officially in session. Again, thank everybody that's out there right now listening, as well as those that are viewing. We definitely appreciate it. Make sure y'all hit me up in the comments. Before we get started though, I need everybody, lottie-dottie, everybody under the sound of my voice or that is watching me right now to go like and share the Frequency CO. The Frequency CO. All right, go like, follow, and share it right now. If you're watching this on Facebook, I need you to share it right now. Call your friends up. Tell them, hey, look, the King is on. Y'all need to come hear what the King has to say, okay? But the topic of today is fathers stand up. For me, this topic is like near and dear to the heart. Near and dear to the heart. You know, I talk a lot in reference to being a man, right? And with that, we are sons, brothers, friends, husbands, fathers, who we are to the community, and lastly, how our relationship is from a spiritual standpoint. For me, one of the most important roles that I play outside of being a husband is that role of a father. Now, I've made many of mistakes, especially when it comes down in the arena of being a husband. Several. Many. But I've always taken pride in being a father. And what bothers me is how society views us as a father. I talked about this before a couple of shows ago in reference to the difference of how mothers are portrayed versus fathers. Even right now, Father's Day is coming up. I haven't seen a commercial yet. I went in Walmart the other day and I seen one sign in one little area to be able to purchase Father's Day gifts. I was in the mall the other day. I seen one store, which was a store that primarily sold stuff for men, that was talking about Father's Day. I think it is sad how our role is so unappreciated. It's so unappreciated. And you can't look at what it is that society portrays, especially when it comes down to our culture. Because if you look at what society portrays as far as us and fathers, everybody's a deadbeat. And quite frankly, if you have to go to court, that's exactly how they're going to treat you. Exactly how they're going to treat you. I don't care whether you go in there to establish paternity. I don't care whether you took out child support on yourself. When you go and you stand in front of that judge, they are going to treat you just like you're a deadbeat. Trust me, I've been there. For just about every reason that you can go to court for a father, I've been to court for. Been to court for. I have 10 children. 10. 6 boys, 4 girls. Ranging from the ages of 26 all the way down to about to be 2. Take pride in being a father. And if I had my choice, I continue to have kids. Because that's how much I love them. There's nothing like sitting back and watch your child do the same dumb stuff that you did and try to get away with when you was a kid. It's nothing like it. But the picture that has been painted is that these children that we are raising, it can be done without us. And the reality of it is, it can't. And if you don't believe it, look into our communities. Look into our communities. And this is something that's been going on for generations. For generations. Not many of us grew up with an active father in the home. At all. And we can go back through the generations and you'll see it. My father, he didn't grow up with either one of his parents. He was raised by his grandmother. He was the oldest sibling. And he was raised by his grandmother. Mom wasn't there, even though he knew who she was. Daddy wasn't there. Matter of fact, to my understanding, my daddy didn't even meet his daddy until he was grown, married, and with my mother. But that is the picture that has been painted, is that we're not needed, and our role as fathers is unnecessary. And the sad thing is that a lot of us have bought into it. You really have men out here that feel and think that I grew up without a father and I came out okay. And then have kids and be like, they'll be fine. And you know how I know that it is bad amongst the generations? Is because I'm battling it with my daughter. I told the story a couple of shows ago about how I got into it with my daughter's grandfather. And one of the things that he told me was that, hey, I grew up without a father. And I came out okay. She don't need you. She'll be all right. And this is a minister within the Christian church telling me that my daughter doesn't need me in her life. It's a problem. It is a real problem.
What are your thoughts of busting a minister in the mouth?
Busting, as far as I'm concerned, they are an individual just like I am.
Some of them worse.
I'm so serious.
Depending on the checks.
Yeah, I have no issues with it, for real. Whatever energy you give me, that's what's going to be given back. But seriously, this is something that needs to be rectified within our communities. And it's one of the biggest problems. And it's one of those things that is needed and necessary in order for us to restore duality within the relationship between men and women. We talked about in the last few episodes in reference to respect, and that we learn respect from our fathers and we learn how to love from our mothers, which is the reason why we have our communities and we have a society that literally has no respect for themselves or others, because there is no one out here that is teaching it consistently. It's sad to say, a lot of us that are teaching it learn from the wrong individuals. I said it before and I'm gonna say it again, I'm gonna keep saying it. The vast majority of us men, we either learn respect from the streets, from prison, or from our mothers. Even the wisdom that has been passed on, that I was able to get from older men, it was a collective, a vast amount of older men that I was hanging around that just dropped jewels. And we're missing that within our communities. Our elders are doggone transitioning on, passing away. And the younger generation, to include mine, are not snatching those jewels up prior to them leaving. We have become so self-centered that the things that are necessary, the things that are needed, we're missing. We are missing. Now don't get me wrong, there are a lot of us that are out there that are doing our thing, that are trying. And quite frankly, there's a lot of us out there that's doing a pretty good job. To be quite honest, it's more than what society actually paints. And there are stats to prove it. But what the missing key is that a lot of those men that are out there are doing it from the outside and trying to be part-time fathers, doing great, doing excellent at it. Whenever they have their kids or whenever they can get them, they do what needs to be done. But we have lost the importance of having an active father in the home. We've lost it. And it is necessary, it is needed. There is nothing like being able to see and receive love from your biological father. Nothing like it. There's nothing like a child being able to see his biological parents love on each other. There's something different that happens. And that's not to say or to put a slight for step parents because I'm one as well. But there's still a difference. There's still a difference. And the whole stepfather thing, man, Facebook is brutal. Seriously, Facebook is brutal. You don't know how many posts that I've come across. I really feel like y'all out there in Facebook be knowing what it is that I'm gonna talk about before I even start talking about it, because y'all just start blasting posts about the very topic that I'm going to talk about next. But when I say it's brutal, I mean it's brutal. I looked at well over probably 200-300 comments on a post in reference to stepfathers being stupid for taking care of someone else's child. And the things that I read in that, I was just like, man, we are a culture full of underdeveloped men. They literally have no clue. No clue.
Pardon my French, selfish pussies. I'm one of these stepfathers.
You and me both, for real.
And it's brought me a joy I've never felt before because I don't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's taught me a few things. But these kids love me, I think, more than their own actual father because they know me more. Which is fucked up.
Yep. My two daughters. Or not, biologically they're not mine, but you better not say that because I've been taking care of them since it was 2 and 3. They're 15 and 14 now.
Yeah, I taught them to ride a bike. I was there first day of school.
Yep.
I was there for award ceremonies and plays.
Daddy-daughter dances, everything.
But this same motherfucker be out there never see his kids talking to other people about his kids.
Yeah.
I literally ran into somebody that knew him and said that's all he talks about is his kids. But yeah, he ain't never seen them.
At all. And the sad thing is 9 times out of 10, well I ain't gonna say 9 times, I'm gonna say probably 7 times out of 10, the people that are talking this nonsense
Or them people with the
are the
kids
people
everywhere.
that ain't doing nothing for their doggone kids. So you don't want to take care of them, but you don't want nobody else to take care of them either.
Then there's some men that have multiple children with multiple women just for the factor of having what they called back in the days a harem.
Yep.
A whole slew of women you can always go to, and if you got 7 baby mamas, there's a good chance one of them's still gonna let you smash on a regular.
Yep.
That's why dudes do it.
Probably
When is
more
women
than
gonna
that.
wake up to the men's bullshit? They know it, but when are they gonna wake up and say, look, enough is enough?
Yep. We have far too many underdeveloped men. That is the slogan that I'm trying to use for them. I don't want to
Women allow it.
say what I call them outside of
They
here.
may be physically the weaker sex, but in reality, mentally, they're the stronger sex. They actually have the power and control. They just don't utilize it.
At all.
All this bullshit can stop if y'all stop it, put your foot down and close your legs. That's all it takes.
This is true. This is true. And that's because they're too caught up trying to be us.
Remember back in the day, the 60s and 70s, when they had sit-ins and protests, women against men, because women's rights were still going in the 60s and 70s, they would hold back sex from men.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They would have sit-ins and stuff where no man getting until this is taken care of.
Ooh, I couldn't imagine it. I couldn't imagine it.
Street women making money that time, but
Yep.
yeah,
They stopped probably went way up. Bro, went way up. But seriously though, how fathers are viewed, it has to change. It has to change. So in the midst of the shows that we're gonna do on fatherhood, we're gonna change the narrative on fathers and our role. and how important it is. We talked about it the other day.
You know, there's villages in Africa that have ways of preventing women from being like that. They cut off the clitoris and sew that shit up.
Yeah, they definitely do that. They do a lot of that overseas, especially in the Middle East.
Yes.
Especially in the Middle East.
The only time it comes open was when it's time. Sew back up. Should we resort to that, ladies, here in America?
Man, I can only imagine the protests that would happen.
They literally cut the woman's clitoris off to prevent pleasure. That ensures the woman don't run off on you or get pleasure from somewhere else because, well, she can no longer experience pleasure.
Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. But yep, we're going to change the narrative on this thing. We have to. And no, we're not cutting off no clitorises.
It goes back to what you said, respect.
Yep, respect.
Respect yourself, ladies. They got toys for that.
And
they don't get you pregnant either.
Quite frankly, that's one of the first things that we're going to talk about in reference to fatherhood. Fathers being needed in order to teach our daughters and our sons respect. I said it before, that girl that used to be on the corner chilling with all them dudes, and she was that jump off or whatever. I can't remember what we used to call them.
And they all say, I can't stand females. I like hanging with guys.
Yeah. That is the common thing. The common thing. I just get along better with men.
I've heard that excuse a million times.
Yep.
Yeah, apparently you do. Multiple ways.
Trust and believe when there's an active father in the home, this will not take place. You wanna know why? The daddy coming out there and snatching you out the corner. He ain't going. He ain't going. You try and walk out the house with some little booty shorts on, and daddy see you, yeah, you're not going outside. Not like that. And the fear that you would have of getting caught trying to twerk on camera for social media, nah, it ain't happening.
It's what we allow as a society.
It ain't happening.
Go back to the 50s, the poodle skirts and all that.
Yep.
That was controversial then.
Yep.
You see how long them skirts were?
Yep. I remember stories from older men talking about how they used to go to the bus stop just so they can see women's ankles. Their ankles.
Now we get to see it all.
Yeah.
All.
So they can see their ankles.
Because a lot of y'all women refuse to wear panties. And sometimes y'all be wearing short shorts and short skirts, and people forget the mall, the escalators. They go separate ways. Like one goes up this way, one goes that way. When you're going up, ladies, just for you know, we can see very clearly on these escalators what's going on.
All right, so we got a comment in the chat right now. It says, "I was like that, but I wasn't a jump off." That is an assumption. I also didn't dress provocatively, but I played with the boys more because I like to play sports, and I was a rough kid. I wasn't a girly girl, and I'm still not.
We had a lot of them friends too. They became lesbians.
All right, so in reference to this right here, right? In reference to this right here. So, that assumption that you're talking about, most times as time goes on, that's how you're going to be treated. And we as men, we understand that because we understand how we are. You might not see it. You might not see it as being that big of an issue. But we understand it because we understand us and we understand how it is that we think, especially at those particular ages. That's something completely different being out there with all your boy cousins and things of that particular nature, playing rough and things of that particular nature.
They've done studies on this that men think
But
about sex, what, every 3 minutes?
it's,
Think about that one.
you will be treated accordingly. I'm telling you, you'll be treated accordingly. Especially when we start getting to that age where we so-called where our nuts begin to drop a little bit. You know, they say the nuts drop for the men, and women start smelling themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But especially when we get to that particular age. Something completely different when we're younger and things of that particular nature. But at a particular age, yeah, you gotta come to a halt. Because the thought process is completely different. Thought process is completely different.
Women mature faster than men. That's part of the problem.
This is true. Y'all definitely do.
Women become mature while men are still kids and going through puberty and play and
So while you might be mad at daddy for snatching you out the corner and not letting you play with them boys, he's doing it for a reason.
women just don't know what men go through puberty as a boy. Erections all day, middle of class, it don't matter where you at, gym class, tight shorts, it don't matter where you at, it's happening.
No.
And your sole purpose as a young man is trying to put that somewhere.
Yeah, and the thing about it is they're not going to understand because instead of trying to understand, they're going to point out what it is that they go through. But that is a fact. We get erections at least 7 to 9 times a day out of nowhere for no reason. Now they're going to tell you that majority of the time it happens through the night. No. No. Not at all. It's all through the day. Randomly. Randomly. I'm so serious. I remember how it was when I was in school. And this was, I'm talking about 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade. Matter of fact, I remember faithfully. We had a game, I think we was in 3rd grade. I wish my brother David was here right now. Normally he'd come through, but I wish he was here. If you're watching right now, you know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. Well, we used to have this game called Zap. And how Zap was played was that if a boy or girl could touch the palm of your hand, the center of your hand, right, with a finger, then you had to keep that hand closed until, if you was a girl, you had to grab a boy's penis. If you was a boy, you had to slap a girl on the booty. 3rd grade now. 3rd grade. This is the game that we was doggone playing during that particular time.
Oh, I mean with them childhood games.
Man, y'all just don't know.
And that's where I kind of think it's funny today, because I remember clearly as a kid, people are looking at children 7, 8 years old and stuff, while they're too young to know anything about sex or sexual orientations. Through TV, media, and everything we show them, they know about sex. I knew about sex.
Yeah.
We knew about gayness.
Yeah.
We knew about what came out, the penis and vagina and stuff. We had jokes about this stuff regularly. People underestimate what kids know.
I'm for real.
And understand.
I remember what I was doing.
I clearly remember.
I remember playing house.
I was a little
being
pervert.
Daddy. Hunching.
Trying to look back.
I remember all that stuff. I remember getting caught too. And I remember getting my butt tore off the ribs.
3rd grade, I think I used to go in the women's public bathrooms, try to peek at a woman.
I was fascinated with stockings and thighs.
Sears catalog.
Stockings and thighs. And I remember I remember being a kid. I probably was probably the same age as my son Tobias, about to be 6 or 7. He's 6 or 7. I used to walk around and rub women's thighs and stockings, just
It
doing
felt
it,
nice.
just doing it, and they allowed me. They allowed.
Because you're a little boy, they
You
don't
know
think
what?
shit about it.
They allowed me.
Yeah, that y'all don't even know. Just think, little boys thinking fucked up shit.
I'm so serious, and this is at a young age. We
My
talking about
grandfather
7,
had
8,
20
9.
years worth of National Geographic.
It was one of my older sisters had a friend, and man, come to think of it, I was petty, 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 petty. Like we would go into my grandmother's room who had Alzheimer's. She couldn't talk or anything of that particular nature, and literally she would hide her sock in her private areas and be like, "Go get it." And of course, I'm little.
Nah, motherfucker.
I'm little. So this is. We say all of this, ladies, to say this. Our thought process as young boys is different. It's different. I remember the little girls that used to come and play with us. We would wrestle and we would throw them around and things of that particular nature.
Innocent perversion.
Exactly.
Innocent. Hear that word, innocent perversion, because we don't comprehend or understand yet. We are not predators.
Exactly. But
That comes when you're
remember
grown
these things.
and lack of self-control. That's a predator.
I remember these things gratefully picking them up from the back just so I could graze across their behind. Or picking them up from the front, so especially when they start developing chests and things, that nigga is slamming them. We playing, but I'm still
Swimming
getting my
pool,
feels
bro.
off.
The
Oh.
swimming pool. Swimming under the water.
We say all this, and we gotta go to break. But we say all of this so that you know and understand that our thought process is different.
And you got little perverts at home.
While y'all sitting back thinking that y'all chilling, playing, we rough and everything else, we are getting our feels on. And our fathers know that, which is the reason why they snatch you
Stop
off
wrestling with them
boy.
boys.
I'm so serious. Hey, look though, we gotta go pay some bills. We'll be back in about 5. Well, and it's actually intermission, so we'll be back in about 10 minutes. Don't go nowhere. We about to get into it. I gotta check these comments because they in here lit right now. They in here lit, but we about to go pay these bills. The King has spoken. We'll be right back. And we are back. Court is officially back in session. We got a little recess out of the way. Now, of course, had a chance to check the comment area. Y'all in there having a ball, huh? If you just now joining us, right? The topic of discussion is Father Stand Up. We're talking about the importance of fatherhood, the importance of changing the narrative of how fathers are viewed in society. Before we left on break, we was talking about the thought process of how we were as kids. Some of the things that we used to do, type of deal.
Play house.
Yeah, playing house and things of this particular
Play
nature.
doctor.
There are things about us about the male species and our thought process that as men, as fathers, we understand. We understand, and we are trying to prevent, especially our daughters, as well as our sons, from getting caught up in some of the nonsense. And nowadays, it is very much so imperative because we have predators out here that are literally fighting for their rights. Molesters that are fighting to have rights.
And you got people out here making young adults question their sexual orientation or their gender identity.
When I say we are needed, I mean we are needed. As a father, there are just simply things that will not allow to happen with any of my kids. Don't want you, any of my daughters or my sons sitting in anybody's lap. My daughters, that is a right reserved for your significant other and no one else. I don't care whether we're family or not. Whether we're family or not. No, it's a no-go. And that is part of the reason why we were talking about that most times fathers are going to pull their daughter off that corner or that playground or whatever from playing with all those little boys because they know and understand exactly what it is that they're thinking and what it is that they're trying to do. Even when it comes down to sports, I used to enjoy having girls playing basketball with us. Go ahead, back me down.
Had I known there could be male cheerleaders, had I known, I would have been the cheerleader up there holding the girls up.
Man. But again, ladies, this is our thought process. This is our thought process. And we as fathers, we know and we understand this, and it is our job and to protect our sons as well as our daughters from these things. That is one of the prime things. You might not understand why we're doing it, but we definitely do. Because the same way that y'all understand the psyche and the mindset of the female is the exact same thing on the opposite end.
Apparently, there are female predators out there now.
Very much so. I've come across them in my lifetime.
I mean, I looked for them as a young boy, but
Yes,
they didn't exist
so.
when I was young.
Very much so.
Teachers didn't look that good. My teachers looked horrible.
Antoine Fisher was very much so a true story, but you'll be amazed at how often things of that particular nature happens within our community. It is not just young girls that are being molested and doggone raped.
It shows in society when that sexy blonde teacher gets caught having sex with students, nothing happens. Yep. Let it be a man with the young girl.
Yep.
That's because they give the guy, the boy, a pat on the back.
Mm-hmm. And it's not right. It's not right. Because that boy is being traumatized just as well as the female is.
Yeah, now he gonna be that boy that love older women.
Mm-hmm. And I was him for a good little while. I was him, 16 years old, out here dating 28, 29, 30-year-olds.
My boys love older women. They ain't with the bullshit.
Yeah. And everybody thought it was cool. And I talked about it before. Rape and molestation comes through force as well as consent. Force as well as consent. Let my son come home with a 30-year-old.
That's why they call it grooming. They groom the child first, get him comfortable.
Yeah, let my son come home, my 17-year-old come home with a 30-year-old.
I'm gonna take her from him.
My question to you is, can you get out of the house? I'm not gonna touch you. Can you get out of the house? Because I assure you, between the wifey and my daughters, you're gonna have a battle trying to get up out of there. I'm so serious. I'm so serious. But this is something that is not looked at. And then you have underdeveloped men that look at it like, oh man, that's a badge of honor. No, it is not.
That's a disease, at the least.
Very much so. There is only one thing that this 30-year-old woman could be thinking about with this 17-year-old boy.
And what's a 17-year-old boy gonna do when he gets her pregnant? 30-year-old.
Exactly. Yes, I agree. And said it in the comments, most people don't see anything wrong with it though because of those differences between male and females, and I would never agree with that mindset. I don't agree with it at all either. Yes, I agree that there are differences or whatnot as far as men and women and how things are viewed, but that does not necessarily make it right. It doesn't. And I was taught this. I was taught this at a young age.
Well, we should go back to the times of arranged marriages.
I seen that topic on Facebook the other day too about arranged marriages. And there's some logic behind it.
It's worked out
Yeah.
for many couples for centuries.
And I tell you what, and the divorce rate was not as high as it is now when they were doing it. But again, even during that particular time, we were being raised, we were being groomed to be husbands, we were being groomed to be wives. Now we're being groomed to be employees.
Literally taught how to be a husband or taught how to be a wife.
Yep.
It coming to America.
Yeah, we are literally being taught to be employees. We are not being taught our roles. We think that because we are doing our roles and they are seeing it, that they automatically know. But think about all the questions and stuff that you had for your parents. Those discussions that they didn't have with you. Matter of fact, my son Fat Man, he about to be 11. He about to be 11 this year. Guess what?
He in the bathroom all the time.
Guess what? It's time, even though I've had this discussion with him one time before, but it's time to have another discussion with that same discussion with him again, because guess what? He's about a year, maybe 2 years off, from changes, significant changes.
You're gonna be in the bathroom with the water on all
body.
day.
Yep. Yep. And he needs to know. I gotta let him know. Why? Because that is a part of him transitioning into young adulthood. His body is about to change, and he needs to understand why. There's going to be some hormones that's going to be taking place and some issues that he is not going to have no idea of how to handle. And I'm not just talking about being able to produce semen. There are other things that is going to go on with his body that he's just simply not going to understand. But these are conversations that as fathers, we need to have. It's no different than you ladies. When your daughters start coming of age, y'all know it's time to have that conversation. They need to know and they need to understand. They should not. All these TV shows of where the little girl is surprised because all of a sudden her period comes on and she don't know what's going on, thinks she's about to die and everything else. That shouldn't happen. We should be having these conversations with our children, and fathers, it is necessary. Because a lot of us, as boys, the ones that are growing up, and the only one that we have to have these conversations with is our mothers, they are missing key pieces. Key pieces. Yes, ladies, you can sit back and tell them, okay, when you get around about this age, your body is going to start producing this right here, and you're going to find yourself having what we call wet dreams at night. But there are other pieces to that as men we understand that you don't and you won't, and it's impossible for you to because you are not a male. And it's the exact same thing on the opposite end. Can I sit down and have a conversation with my daughters and talk about how they will have a period at a certain point in their life? I sure can, but there are things that they need to understand. I have no idea of how to use, well, I do know how to use them, but I can't explain it in the way that you would be able to. And it's not just that, it's the cleanliness of it as well. There's a lot of them just nasty with it. Trust me, I see it all the time at the boxing gym. Them young lady cycles and stuff come on. Next thing I know, I'm seeing tampons and everything else. Every dog gonna wear it. They don't even take time out to wrap it in tissue paper or anything of that particular nature. These are things that you ladies teach your daughters, or should be teaching your daughters. And it's the exact same thing for us as men. Yeah, our sons need to know that that estrogen is going to increase. That testosterone is going to increase. You're going to find yourself having emotions that you've never had before. You're going to start looking at women in a completely different manner if you don't already.
Hormones in our food, our meat we eat, doesn't help.
At
It's
all.
making it happen early. I got a 9-year-old at home that stinks. His armpits stink, everything. He's going through the change too early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You need to understand cleanliness. I have to force my sons to take baths.
Yeah, and they forget, that little boy forgets that deodorant, boy.
For real. And I see it all the time. I see older kids. I see older kids that cleanliness. And all I'm thinking about is, man, that where's Papa at? You know what I'm saying? Where's Papa at? And that's part of the reason why I'm glad that I did grow up in the 80s and 90s, because we were brutal. We were brutal. You couldn't come to school musty. You could not come to school musty. I guarantee you, you'd be lit up.
You couldn't copy no one either.
Nope.
It's called biting.
Yep.
You got your ass beat.
Exactly. But now everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the reason why I don't wear Jordans right now, because everybody wear them. I don't want to be like
Never
everybody else.
bought one pair ever in my life.
There is so much significance just in this little realm that it is that we're talking about right now, in educating our sons about the physical.
Shit, 80s and 90s, we were dirtier.
Talk about it.
We didn't have games and
We
stuff.
went outside.
We come from a generation where video games were invented. We stayed outside.
I never understood.
There was no cell phone.
I never understood what my mom would say, what she meant when she said you smell like the outside, until my kids started playing outside and coming
Not so
back
much in Colorado, but really in the South and other places, you could really smell like outside. I learned that saying from Louisiana.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things outside in the air.
Man, y'all, I'm telling you, there are so many things that as fathers that we have to impart into our sons. So many things. No, and it starts really at a very young age. Most times people think, as long as he get him when he's about 9, 10, he's gonna be good. No, there are things before that time, because in the midst of you nurturing and low-key spoiling these kids
They're spoiled.
or not, we are the ones that help bring balance.
We baby these children too much.
I'm telling you, my wife say I'm way too hard on my younger kids, and I approach this thing like vice grips. Anybody know, if you know what vice grips is, right, there's a setting at the very end, right? When my kids are babies, I turn it all the way to the tightest grip, and then I lock it. Why? Because this is the time frame where they are most impressionable. I can teach them so much more during this time frame. That is the time where discipline for me is very, very, very important. Very important. Me and my wife be going back and forth, especially about Shamal right now. Right now. You know, he was We was at my son's graduation yesterday, and I was getting so upset. I mean, I was heated. This joker walking all over the place. He falling out and everything else, and I'm thinking, only if you knew. Only if you knew. Only if you knew. But I know it's around about that time. You you not about to act like this in public. Not with me. Not with your mama either. It's time to take out my vice grips, bloop, clink them joints down. And as they get older, we loosen it up. And why do I do it that way? Why do I do it that way? It's because as they get older, they start thinking a little bit more.
Between 2 and 7 years old is the ultimate time to teach them multiple languages. They can learn 4 languages at one time
2 and 7.
without a problem. They absorb it like nothing.
You can start, literally, you can start teaching a kid as young as 10 months. As young as 10 months. We could put our kids in school at 10 months and they would learn.
Mm-hmm.
They would learn.
People don't understand babies are technically, their IQ levels are genius levels.
Yes.
They learn faster than anything on the planet.
Yes. So this is that time frame for me up until I'm telling you from about that time range up until they're about 10, 11 years old or whatnot, them vice grips is tight. And then once they start hitting that period of where the body is about to start changing, and I know those thought processes are about to start changing or whatnot, that's when they start loosening the grips up.
Yeah, my 8-year-old, he's about girls. He chasing them girls. He try to hug them and kiss them and all that.
Mm-hmm. That's when they start loosening the vice grips up. Start having more there's no need for me to go upside your head no more. I mean, I still will, depending on the situation. But now I want to be able to have conversations with you. Start teaching you about life. I spent half of your life already imparting discipline into you. So now it's time to start teaching you about life, showing you how to think critically, allowing you to make little minor decisions here and there, but also teaching you that with making these decisions, especially my boys, that you're going to have to reap the consequences for them. You have to man up and accept whatever the consequence is because you made the decision. You made the decision. And that's how it is that we actually flow with it. That we flow with it. Had to change things up a little bit because I was known for going upside your head for any and everything. But they was young then. They needed to know. They needed to know. You're not a baby anymore. At all. I tell you not to touch that stove is because that stove is doggone hot. And quite frankly, I'm not one of them parents that's going, okay, go ahead, touch the stove and see just how hot it is. No, I don't want my kids to get hurt.
Sometimes you gotta learn from experience.
My pop on your hand is gonna feel much better than them burn marks that you'll receive from the experience. And I've had these conversations before in reference to experience. In reference to experience being the best teacher. No. No. Not at all.
Some of those boys are hard headed.
Yeah,
They are only gonna learn through experience.
They are. Some of them. But I tell people I'm anointed. I'm anointed. Nature has anointed these hands. Nature has anointed these hands. Well, I get you right. I'm so serious. And the wifey, she laughed at me because how we discipline, well, not discipline per se, but Like if we do give a spanking, her spanking is different from mine. But you ask the kids or whatnot, they hate mine worse than hers. And I think hers is way worse than mine. But that's the reason why I say it's anointed. It's meant to be that way. I'm so serious. But we gotta go pay a few bills. We'll be back in about 5 minutes to keep this thing going. Again, if you just join us, the topic of discussion is fathers stand up. I'm talking about the importance of fatherhood. But we're gonna be right back. I'm gonna check these comments and I'm gonna address a few of them when we get back. All right, the king has spoken. We'll be back. And we are back. Court is officially back in session. It's been a great conversation thus far. Had a chance to go through the comments and on Facebook. Y'all in there having a ball, man. For real. I appreciate it though. Gotta definitely give a shout out to the wifey, Miss Tabitha. I see you in there. Miss Rika as well. Shout out to my 18 member. D, I see you in there. I think I spoke with you already, Miss Yolanda, but I definitely appreciate everybody that's jumping in, that's interacting. I know there's a few other people that are watching, but are not quite interacting. I definitely appreciate everybody that's out there listening right now as well. But if you're just now joining us, what we've been talking about is fathers standing up. The importance of our role as fathers within the household and just within our children's lives, period. You know, our roles balance each other out. They balance each other out. And there are a lot of us that are underdeveloped and imbalanced because those roles weren't there to provide that balance. And it's very much so necessary. I was talking before we took the break in reference to my method of dealing with my kids. I'll be the first one to be honest. You know, I'm very much so lighter on my daughters than I am my sons. I am. I'll be honest with it. And I think the reason for that is I understand the type of men that I'm trying to mold my sons into and what it requires. My daughters, they have a great mother. Yes, I'm going to do my job in reference to teaching them how to respect themselves and provide discipline where necessary. But becoming the women that they will become, their mothers are doing a great job at that. It's my job to teach them literally how a man is supposed to respect them, how to treat them, how to care for them. But it's also y'all job on the other end, ladies, to teach them how to respect us, how to speak to us, how to handle us as men. I say it all the time. I don't condone violence within a relationship. But a lot of times, I'm not gonna say all the time, but some of that time, those men that don't have an issue with putting their hands on women, some of you bring it out of lack of respect. Simply how you talk. And that is important. That is an important piece. And that is not something that y'all can learn without having that father figure in the home so that you can see how your mother handled us as men, how they spoke to us, how they respected us. Okay, so we got a question in the comments. Says if the balance wasn't obtained, hold on, let me go back. I'm seeing double. Okay, this is coming from Miss Rika. She says if the balance wasn't there for you growing up, how do you obtain it once you become a mother? I hope there is a way outside of watching other mothers and obtaining gems they drop. Might have answered my own question. So, for me, this is where that sisterhood comes into play. And yes, you kind of answered it yourself. But that's where that sisterhood comes into play. And quite frankly and quite honestly, I'm not talking about your peers. I'm not talking about your peers. I'm talking about the older generation. Not your mom generation. I'm talking about your grandmother's generation. You need to be able to pull on them. And quite frankly, you need to do it sooner than later. Because a lot of our grandparents and great grandparents are transitioning now. They're passing on. And before they pass on, you need to make sure that you grasp and pull everything that you can from them. Because that is a method, that is a way. I remember faithfully, and I say it all the time, you know, my wife's grandmother, Miss Kate, love her and miss her a lot. Love her and miss her a lot. And part of the reason why I do is because and there was nobody in my wife's family that understood me the way that she did. When I say understood me, I'm talking about understood the type of man that I am. I remember faithfully, and it was an innocent incident, very innocent. You know, the wifey's family, although bigger than mine, the makeup of it is just like mine. Um, is dominated by women. It's dominated by women, and quite frankly, the women and take care of and do just about every and anything, especially for the men. There's a situation or a problem or whatnot, they're the first ones to stand up, jump up, and try and correct it. A little bit different from that. So there was a situation where, and it was innocent. I was gonna say yeah anyway. I was gonna say yeah anyway, but I believe it was one of her siblings or cousin or somebody that was supposed to be coming to stay at the house, stay at my house. And they made plans and everything else or whatnot, and nobody said anything to me about it. And I took issue with it. Why? Because it was a respect issue. I didn't have an issue with them coming. My thing is, don't make plans for my house without, at the very least, saying something to me about it. And the issue wasn't with them, the issue was with the wifey. Because it was her job and her responsibility to come and say something to me. Everyone that knows that I wasn't going to say no at all. I wasn't going to say no at all. But it was a respect factor that was going on. And she recognized it and she understood it. And I remember faithfully sitting down having a conversation where she apologized and she told me that the family wasn't accustomed to being around or seeing a man that was like me. And from that point on, it was different. She understood. She understood me, how I function, how I operate. Got into many arguments. One of the siblings sent an old friend of my wife's to the house, male friend, to my house. Took up issue with it. Why? Because you don't send someone, especially of the opposite sex, to my house without me knowing. I don't care if they do know the wifey or not. It conflicts with my ability to be able to protect my household. I need to know who's coming. I need to know who's going. But this is something that she's understood, that she understood. And without her presence there anymore, feel misunderstood. Because she was the one that understood the type of man that I am and some of the issues that I actually had that everybody else takes issue with. And it's for this reason that I say that older generation, before they pass on, pull those gems. Because we missing out on it. We missing out on it. That was the generation that still family functions, Sundays, things of that particular nature, will cook for everybody. Grandma is going to pull all the ladies into the doggone kitchen and you're going to cook. You're going to learn. You're going to learn some things. We don't have that. That's something that we're missing. But at the same time, there was a bond that was being established during this time. And it is necessary. So definitely, pull on that generation before we lose it. Pull as many gems as you can. Pull as many gems as you can before they're gone. Because these are the things that we are missing. For us men, it's a little bit harder. It's a little bit harder because a lot of the ones that we can pull gems from are already gone. And the things that we need to pull from them, we don't have access to anymore. So we have to access our memories in order to be able to catch those gems now. And quite frankly, some of them wasn't even worthy to be able to give us gems, because they was going through the exact same issues that we are going through as men right now. A lot of this is an issue as far as fathers that has been going on for far too long. For far too long, which is the reason why it is important for us as men to stand up and be the fathers that our children, that our communities, that our nation needs us to be. We need it. You know, speaking from experience, because both of my grandparents, my grandfathers were gone long before I was born. Long before I was born. But you know what? I sit down and I listen to how my mom talk about my grandfather. And she don't know it. But in the midst of her doggone talking, I'm trying my best to pull as many gems as possible. It's a little bit different with my grandfather on my father's side, because like I said, my father didn't know his father until, shoot, he was already married with my mom. So, and don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of questions on that end that I have. I want to know why. That's the biggest question that I have, is why. Which I'm pretty sure is the same question that my father has. Why? And then watching some of the things that I am personally going through being a father, I definitely want to hear his story with an open mind. Because the reality of it is that this whole keeping kids away from their fathers didn't just start with this generation. It's been going on for a good little while now. Good little while. I talk about it in the book. Some of y'all, some of our, some of our parents literally grew up down the street from some of their siblings and didn't know about it at all. Didn't know about it. They daddy taking care of two homes, and they had no idea of who their sibling was until their doggone passed on. This is not something that is new. It's something that has been going on for a while. But one thing that I will say is that it stops with this generation. It stops with this generation. We will bring balance back to our families. We will. We're going to. The narrative on a lot of this stuff is going to change because it has to. I don't even celebrate a lot of these holidays. Father's Day is just another day for me. But for those that do celebrate it, we're going to make sure that Father's Day is celebrated just the same way that Mother's Day is. Going to bring balance to it. Because we are, and our role is just as important as your role is. And that is an understanding that needs to be overstood. And it's going to be. It's going to be. And I'm going to enjoy these conversations. We're going to be talking about this again next week for both shows. Next Tuesday and Thursday, we still going to be talking about fatherhood because that's just how important it is to me. And quite frankly, I need your assistance, ladies. I need your assistance. Because one of the things that we are going to talk about in the midst of these conversations is those ladies that do feel like we're unimportant and that our role is not necessary and choose to keep these kids away from us. And then flip the script and try and make it seem like we're the deadbeats. We need y'all to bring accountability on that end. I personally need you to bring accountability on that end. Because our kids are suffering because of this thought process. They're suffering. From the time that child is conceived into the time that child leaves the home. And even afterwards, our role as fathers is important. It's important. From the moment that we hear that we have a child that's on the way, the wheels start turning for us. And although our bond is different because we don't feel this child every day. We don't feel this child growing inside of us. But that does not mean that there is no bond that is being made. It doesn't mean that at all. We're creating a bond. The same way that you care for that child that is in your womb, we do as well. We do. But the way society has painted things, y'all know the story. Mama's baby, daddy's maybe. That's, that's that's what is portrayed. Even if we are married, that's still what is presented. Mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Go holler at Dana
There's a
and
lot of
make
babies.
sure that that's your baby.
It's a lot of maybe babies out there.
Man. But I'm serious. This is how society has painted it. And they made it seem as though there is no bond that is built between us and that unborn child until that child comes into this world and we find out that that child is literally ours. And that's so far from the truth. So far from the truth. Each and every last one of my kids, each and every last one of them, there was a bond that was built prior to them coming into this world. It's a bond. No, this last one was a surprise. I wasn't expecting this one right here. I was like, what in the world? What in the world? Another one? It better be a girl. It better be a girl. And of course, it wasn't. And quite frankly, the only reason why I wanted my last child to be a girl is so that my younger kids will know and understand how to protect a woman. That's it. I wanted my last baby to be a girl so that my younger sons would know how it feels and what it feels like to protect a woman. But unfortunately, all I keep spitting out is sons. Someone said in the comments, who was this that said this? Who was this that said this? And I gotta go to my final thoughts here because I gotta make way for coffee and cream. But I definitely, somebody said something about feeling like men. Okay, I feel like men get scared when they hear I'm pregnant. Now, not all men, but it's a lot of them, who put and they track shoes on. Okay, so
Because they didn't look at you as wifey material to begin with.
that is a part of it. That is a part of it. Okay,
Real
so
talk.
one thing that I do know, and I'm gonna speak on behalf of all men, but you know, we all have different viewpoints on things. What 420 said is true. You know, some men do get afraid because they didn't look at you as being mother or wife material.
Just
So they're
smash and
afraid.
grab.
They become afraid. But there's a good portion of us out there that become afraid because they know and understand the responsibility that is going to come behind having to have a child. And most of them are afraid because they are not ready for that responsibility. Trust me, I have friends right now that have baby fever. Baby fever. Like they itching to get somebody pregnant. But you have others that are just out trying to live life and live life free. And they know and understand that once that child is conceived and they know it's theirs, now it's a matter of so many different fears that come to mind. Especially if you grew up without a father. Am I going to be a good father? Do I have the ability to be able to give this child things that I didn't have? What am I going to teach this kid? How am I going to protect this kid? How am I going to provide for this kid? There's so many things. And I know y'all go through the exact same thing, especially when you're having that first child. Oh man, am I going to be a good mother? Am I going to be a good mother? Is this child going to love me? There's so many things that run through our mind, that run through our head. It's part of the reason why that fear is there. And for me, it's been like that with each and every last one of my kids. I love each and every last one of them, but I still battle fear because there was a certain place that I wanted to be at, a certain place that I wanted to be at. So I knew that I was going to have to push myself harder. So with that being said, I'm gonna flow straight into the final thoughts. But before I get my final thoughts, I just want to thank everyone that took out the time to sit back and spend these 2 hours with us or whatnot. For those that don't already know, then you can we're gonna continue this conversation in King Naib's court on Facebook. On Facebook, go if you're not a member already. Go become a member. Make sure that you like, follow, and share. Like, follow, and share the Frequency CO, as well as Can I Be the Man, the page. If you haven't, if you haven't already purchased the book, Can I Be the Man, A Letter from Us to You, I need you to go and get it. If you've already purchased the book and you read it, I need to know what your thoughts are. Please reach out to me. And of course, please come join the King's Court as well as the Frequency on the 27th at Club Tilt. At Club Tilt, we talking about a week from today. A week from today, we're gonna be out there 5 to 8. We're having a book release party. I will be out there signing your books. If you don't have a book and you need one, I have them on deck as well. I'll be taking pictures with everybody, and we just gonna have a good time. You're not gonna want to miss this at all. So make sure. I know 5 o'clock. Some of y'all getting off work at 5. Bring your clothes to work, change, and come straight over to the tip because we're gonna get it in. We definitely gonna get it in. But fathers, we are important. The role that we play, although it has been minimized, we are important. For the ones out there that are doing it, I applaud you and tell you to continue to do what it is that you're doing and go back out there and grab those gems from the older generation so that we can impart those gems into our kids as well. For the ones that are fighting and to be more than just a part-time father, keep doing what it is that you're doing. Keep the fight going. Keep the fight going. For those of y'all that are fighting that don't have the ability to be able to be even a part-time father, I feel your struggle. I feel your pain. Just know things will get better. If you have to wait the entire 18 years before you're able to have that opportunity, just know we're here waiting with you. And for those slim few that's making us look bad as fathers that's out there, we're coming for your head. We are going to hold you accountable. We are going to hold you accountable. And lastly, to my stepfathers out there, I salute you. I salute you. Forget about all the talk of all these underdeveloped men out here calling you stupid and simps and things of that particular nature. I salute you. Because it takes a big heart to be able to step in a role that originally wasn't yours to begin with and love unconditionally something that didn't even come from you. I salute you. But we'll be back next Tuesday, 8 o'clock sharp. Make sure y'all are there. I've enjoyed it. Court is officially out of session. The King has spoken. We out.